Hello everyone. Today we will discuss about runnable interface in multi-threaded programming. First of all, how to create a thread. We can create a thread in two ways, either by implementing runnable interface or by extending the thread class. Fine. So let me create a programming for how to create a thread by implementing runnable interface. So let me create a class, new other class. Let me take class name as new thread, which will have the main method. Fine. Now new thread implements runnable because runnable is an interface. So the class which needs to be created should implement runnable interface. Fine. Now if you see here, we are getting error. Why? Because there is a abstract method within the runnable interface. So we have to override the run method. So add unimplemented method, which will tell you to override the run method. This will have in so any place, let me take it to upper position. Fine. What we will write inside run method. So normally we will write the logic inside run method. We'll come back to this later. Fine. Now, so how to create a thread? First of all, we have to create a class which implements runnable interface, and we have to override the default so run method, which is the abstract method within the runnable interface. Now, so first of all, so try to create a object for your class. Let us take new thread. My object, let us take thread one is equal to new thread. Now here I would like to create multiple threads. So let me name my first thread as a T1. Now I want to create parallel threads. T2, thread 2, next T3. I'm going to create 3 parallel threads, and I'm naming each one of them as a T1, T2, and T3. Now instead of repeating same logic again and again, it is better to create the thread construction, everything within the same constructor. So I would like to create a constructor for my class called new thread. And what is the input parameter? Because of I'm passing name of the thread, so this will have string thread name. Fine. So what we have to do within a constructor? So first of all, here the first part of the life cycle, create a thread object. So how to create a thread object? So we should have thread is the default class which is used for so creating a thread some object t is equal to new thread, and within this we have to provide this keyword because of right now which is this. Right now whenever we try to call this constructor, this is nothing but a so thread 1. Whenever we try to call the constructor on the second object, this will be the thread 2. In this way, always this refers to current object on which we are calling the constructor. So this comma name of the thread. So this is very, very important. Whenever we are going to whenever we are going to create a thread, so we should have to so define so this keyword and name of the thread. Name of the name of the thread is not mandatory. This is optional, but we can try to use this one whenever we want. Fine. So in this way, I can create a thread object. What I will do, because later I want to use this object t within the run method also, better to declare this one outside the constructor. Thread t. Fine. So we have completed the first part of the life cycle of a thread. Okay, first of all, so how to create a thread is the first part of life cycle of a thread. Second one, start the thread. Start the created thread. Which is the created thread here? T is the created thread. Now what we will do? T dot start. So once we call t dot start, the thread will be in a ready to run state. Also called as a runnable state. This is the second part of life cycle for a given thread. Fine. So once we try to, okay, so call the start function, no need to call the run method, because of once we call the start function, start will give the intimation to the JVM to start the run method. At any point of time, the run method will get called, but we should not call the run method. So what will happen if we call the run method? If we try to call the run method, so it becomes like a normal, okay, single threaded programming. So whenever we are trying to write the multi-threaded programming, we should never try to call the run method. We should always call only start method, and start will internally try to call the run method with the help of the JVM or JRE. Fine. Now I have, okay, started the thread. Now what is the, okay, third part of the life cycle? Running state. So this is called as a running state, which is the third part of the life cycle. This is the second part of life cycle. Now what we'll write inside run method? Logic. Let us take, I have some logic. I want to loop for int I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to 5, I plus plus. Now system dot out dot println. Because of multi-threads are running, okay, parallelly, so each thread will try to finish the loop from 1 to 5. So we have to know which thread is running inside. So what I will do, okay, so current thread, or you can say running thread. And also one more point, inside run, which threads will run? Only, okay, so child threads will run. So within main method, main thread will run, and within run method, child threads will run. Okay, running threads. What I will do, I'll try to, okay, print what is the name of the thread which is running inside. Now what we can do, I can take the t object, because I have declared the thread object outside. I can try to say t dot get name. Why? Because once we provide the name of the thread to the constructor, it will internally set the value which is the name of the thread to the t object. Now we can directly get that name here, t dot get name. And fine. Next, what is the value which is being, okay, printed? Value is I. Okay, sorry. Fine. So in this way, we can try to write the logic here. Now what I want, let us take, I want each one to sleep for a specific amount of time, thread dot sleep. Let us take, okay, so 1000 nanoseconds. This is just want to show the impact of how the values are, okay, executing. So that is the reason we want each loop to be sleep for a, okay, specific amount of time. Whenever we try to call the sleep function, we have to handle surrounded with the, okay, try catch block, because sleep try to throw the checked exception, which is interrupted exception. So no need to have the try block for every one of them. We can take it outside. Same way, catch block also, we can try to take it outside. We don't want to repeat each time try catch block. Let it be outside for loop. Fine. So in this way, we can try to write the logic. Now that's all we are done with the, okay, programming. Now let me run the program. And one more point we're missing here. So what we have done, we have created, okay, so total three threads, thread 1, thread 2, and, okay, thread 3 objects, and name of each thread is t1, t2, and t3. Now whenever we try to create the threads, it will call the constructor, and there within constructor we try to complete first two parts of life cycle. The first one is how to create a thread, and second one is how to start the thread. So once this is done, automatically the run method will be called by JVM internally, and it will try to execute the logic, which is the third part of the life cycle. Now we have to ensure that main should be the last one to complete. So before main thread completes, we have to complete all the child threads. So how to achieve this problem? This is very important one. So but because of all threads are running parallelly, main thread also running parallelly, which is the main method. And also once we start the child threads also running parallelly. So we are not sure which one will get completed fast or first. So that is the reason we have to ensure that how main thread will get completed at the end. So to ensure that main thread will get completed after the child threads will get completed, we have to take the help of join and alive. So very, very important ones here. Fine. Now to see whether, so before calling join, it's always better to try to use the is alive function to check whether this whatever running thread is alive or not. Let me show this one. Now how to call? Let us take the thread object dot. So on this we have created a object called thread t. If you try to see here, so for thread 1, t is a instance variable. So within so thread 1 dot t dot is alive. So once we call this one, we'll came to know whether it is alive or not. I would like to print this in the system.out.println. Directly I will print. Okay, if you want, okay, fine. This is sufficient. Same way, thread 2, thread 3. Fine. Now this will try to tell us whether the thread is alive or not. And what we will do? So next, thread 1 dot t dot join. Very, very important one. All the 3 threads. So what is the use of this one? Main thread wait for child threads to complete. So whenever so child threads completes, they will join back to the main thread. So somebody will try to define mainly if the main thread want to wait, most of the people will try to define the sleep. That is not the so right approach, because of to try to improve the performance. So always better to use the join instead of the sleep function. Fine. Now thread 1 dot t dot join. Now because of this will try to throw the interpret. So checked exceptions, we should have to use the try catch block. Try to move these 3 things also inside try catch block. Fine. Now after joining, we can try to check whether they are alive or not once again. So here always they will be true because of they are alive. Once they completed, they will try to join. That means they are dead. That means whatever the thread has completed the 4th part of the life cycle, which is a so dead state. So what I can say, 4th part of life cycle. If the thread completes, then it will join back. Which thread? If the child threads complete. If the child threads complete, then they will join back to the main thread. That means they have completed the 4th part of life cycle here. Fine. Cool. Now that's all. I'm done with my programming. Let me show you how it works. Cool. Right click, run as Java application. Proceed. Now see here. So each thread is running. If I try to see here, and also I will try to mention that how to ensure that main has completed at the end. I will say here system dot main thread completes. Okay, let's see. Run as Java application. So let me. So there is no guarantee which thread will run first, but the threads will finish their job. What is the what is their job? So parallelly they have to complete 1 to 5. So there are total so three Okay, so threads are running T1, T2, and okay T3. If you see T1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means T1 will complete 1 to 5. TT also will try to complete to printing loop 1 to 5, and T3 also complete to printing 1 to 5. But we will not control them. Okay, once we start them, they will run parallelly and try to complete their job. Now that is the reason we will not see the values in the order. Fine. So if I try to see here, these three threads are alive. Next, they started running. All has finished their jobs parallelly, and at the end it always ensure that main thread completes at the end, because of we are using join. So once we use the join, after join it will print the false, and at last main thread will get completed. So very important one. In the same program we have discussed about how to create a thread by implementing runnable interface, and also how to use the is alive and join. So join is very important. So whenever the child threads completes, and they'll join back to the main threads with the help of the join. So here we can try to improve the performance. No need to write the functions. Okay, so like a sleep, which will take a lot of time. So that is the reason we have to use the join. Fine. Yeah, that's all.